Hey, what's up guys? Joker here, and I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving, and with yesterday being Thanksgiving, that means it's that time of the year again. It's Black Friday, and that means I'm going to be going through some of the best tech deals that I could find over on Amazon for you guys to take advantage of before Black Friday is over in about 17 hours and 33 minutes at the time we're recording this video. We're going to have mostly PC gaming hardware in this video, although there is going to be a few other objects as well, which are tech related, but not necessarily PC gaming specific. And of course, if you want to pick up anything in this video, be sure to hit up the links down in the description below over to Amazon, as they are affiliate links and they do help to support this channel. And we'll kick things off with the first thing, which is not necessarily for PC gaming, but it's something I mention pretty much in every deals video that I do like this, because it is a product that I use in my home. In every room we have a television in this house, we are using Fire TV sticks. Now, they have two different Fire TV sticks, and you can go with either one, honestly. The best deal here is going to be $20 for the regular Fire TV stick, which is virtually identical to the 4K one, except obviously it doesn't do 4K. I think most people, at least maybe people watching this channel, are starting to get 4K TVs. I mean, the 4K TVs are so affordable nowadays, and I'm going to show you one later on in this video, actually, and just how cheap they are. You can get 4K TVs for like as low as $200 nowadays, so I feel like if anyone's gotten a new TV in the last few years, it's probably 4K. So you may want to go with the 4K option, but this one is 20 bucks. You can, or as I said, you can grab the 4K streaming stick, which is going to be $25. I use these things so much because, well, we cut the cord some years ago. We don't use cable TV anymore, so we have everything basically through the Fire Stick 4K. And I really like the updated version because they've got the power button on there, which can kind of shut down everything all in one go, and you can program your sound bar or your TV sound to work with the remote as well. So you just really need one remote to kind of work everything. And also, you can jailbreak these things super easy. So many guides out there for you to easily jailbreak a Fire Stick, which will just open up basically the Pandora's vault to all of the content you could ever possibly dream of watching right at your fingertips. So I highly recommend Fire Sticks, and when they're on sale like this, 25 bucks for a Fire Stick 4K, you really can't go wrong with it. I believe that's what I paid for mine last year during Prime Day. So yeah, definitely pick these up if you have not yet. Next up, we'll get into some PC gaming hardware stuff. We've got some SSDs. One of the things I always like to recommend people picking up during these big sales is you could save a decent amount of money. And the one I saw today for the best deal was the Inland Pro 1TB SSD for $80. I mean, storage has gotten so cheap recently in the past year or so, and before that it was super pricey. So seeing these prices continuing to come down on 3D NAND is just, it's great. It makes, you know, having fast SSDs accessible even to someone doing a budget build. If you're not getting at least a 500 gigabyte SSD, I really don't know what you're doing as far as budget-wise is concerned. So if you're building a system, a new system for the first time, or even if you just need some more storage for your games, you want to put your games on an SSD versus a mechanical hard drive, which I definitely recommend people doing. It's nice to have an SSD for your boot drive. You can have like a 500 gigabyte for that, but then also it's very nice to have at least a 1TB SSD, I feel, for game storage. That's what I go with. I have a 1TB SSD for games on my system, and it's always more than enough. Only recently did I ever have to delete any games to make room for stuff, and that was mostly for Red Dead Redemption 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare, both of which clocked in over 150 gigabytes apiece. So I did have to move some games off of the drive for that, things that I wasn't really playing too much anymore. But yeah, 1TB SSD is going to be fantastic for your game storage as well as a boot drive if you need one of those. And if you are building a new system, thankfully there are some deals out there on CPUs and motherboards. Of course, Ryzen 2600 right here is going to be $115. Absolutely insane. I know we have the 3000 series now, but you're going to spend up to about $200 on the Ryzen 3000 stuff. So for $115, 6 cores, 12 threads, you're not going to have any issues running games with this thing. You'll be able to stream with it, play games, whatever. $115, an absolute steal. If you don't really want to get into overclocking, the 2600 is good if you're going to manually overclock. But if you don't want to overclock and you just want it to run fast out of the box, then I would say it's worth spending the extra $5. Grab yourself the 2600X. There's only a $5 difference between those two processors. So really, you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, honestly, if it was me, even if I was going to overclock, I might just get the 2600X anyway. Maybe they're binned a little bit better it's a possibility. So yeah, take your choice there. Honestly, though, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them, especially at this price. It's just ridiculous how affordable the previous generation Ryzen CPUs have got, and then they're even cheaper when it comes to Black Friday stuff. The Ryzen 7 2700X, if you need more cores and threads, if you want to do more stuff like streaming, maybe getting into video editing, Photoshop, I would probably go that route and grab the 8 cores. These are also a very good deal. When they came out, they were over $300. Now on Black Friday, you can pick it up for $159, free shipping with Prime. Yeah, 2700X. I've tested it. Great CPU for gaming as well as content creation. But between that and the 6 core, I'd say really the main difference is if are you going to use those extra cores. I wouldn't pay for the extra cores for gaming. If you're just gaming, go with the 6 core. In some cases, that might even be better for you. But if you do want to do video editing, maybe you want to start streaming on Twitch, I'd say go with the 8 core if you've got it in your budget to spend the 160 over 120. It's only another $40. And of course, you're going to need a motherboard to power this new hypothetical AMD Ryzen system, which you're getting on an insane budget. And right here is a micro ATX board, one that I have tested in the past, going for $70. And this is a really nice B450 Aorus board from Gigabyte. Very sleek looking in my personal opinion. I think it looks great, honestly. And I would love to see this thing slapped into an MATX system, which I've already done. And my girlfriend is actually using this in her PC downstairs, which I initially intended to be a home theater PC, but she ended up liking it so much that now she uses it at her desk, and she absolutely loves it, and it's really great for her checking email with a complete overkill Ryzen PC system. So yeah, I definitely recommend this board, and for $70, honestly, you can't go wrong. If you want to go a little bit higher end, if you got more in your budget and you don't want an MATX, even you can put an MATX in any system, at least as long as it supports MATX. If you want to go full ATX, you can get an Asus ROG Strix board. These are for $105. It's going to have a few more bells and whistles, a few more features compared to the Gigabyte one, but really it's an ATX versus an MATX, and you're going to have a little bit more connectivity as a result of that and things. So if that's important to you and you need a full-size ATX board with a few more features, then I'd say go with the Asus ROG Strix B450, as it is a very solid board. And if you want to go even further than that and get away from B450 and get into the X570 and get even more connectivity, more features, more connectivity for things like M.2 drives, you can get an X570 board like the Aorus Elite from Gigabyte, which is normally selling for $200, but right now you can grab them for $170. But with all three of these boards, they would be perfectly fine paired up with any of the Ryzen processors we previously mentioned, and yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with any one of them. I would say just go based on what your particular needs are, and of course, if you want ATX versus MATX, so smaller motherboard and all that, if you want to do a small form factor build, then your decision is going to be pretty easy. And for this build, of course, you're going to need some RAM, especially if you are doing a new build. Maybe this is your first build you've done in quite a while. You're probably going to be coming into the area where you need DDR4 memory, which can be definitely a hindrance to some people if you're still back on a DDR3 system, like let's say, I don't know, an FX 8350 or an Intel 2600, coming from something like that, and you're going to need to use DDR4 memory, and you're concerned about having to spend the extra money on RAM, which maybe you didn't want to factor in. RAM has also gotten insanely cheap, just like NAND storage, and I found Corsair Vengeance 16 gigabytes at 3000 megahertz, CAS latency 15. This is a kit of RAM that I have used countless times. I had it in my system for a very long time until I switched over to using a 64 gigabyte 4DIMM kit also from Corsair Vengeance, but it was their RGB RAM. But the LPX stuff I have used, and it's extremely solid, and it's also never given me a problem as far as using XMP profiles with Intel or Ryzen-based systems. It's one of my favorite kits of RAM. Also, it's low profile, which means you can pretty much fit any type of air cooler inside your system if you use this stuff. And for $58, for 16 gigs of this stuff is just absolutely insane. I can't even believe it. I want to buy it even though I don't need it. That's how good this price is for 16 gigs of this RAM. So absolutely recommend it. If you've already got 16 gigabytes in your system of this, I would just go buy more just so that you can have 32 gigabytes for whatever reason. It's that solid and the price is that good. Highly recommend it. Next up, we have a non-PC gaming related tech object, and this is the Roborock S5 robotic vacuum. Roborock is one of the main competitors out there to brands like Roomba, which I'm sure you have probably heard of before. Roborock actually sent me out their Roborock X S6 about a month ago. I got it in to try out, and so far it has been absolutely fantastic. Like, I didn't know I needed a robot vacuum until they sent me the S6, and now we feel like we can't live without it. I mean, whenever we have company over, like yesterday, after Thanksgiving, people were messy eaters. There's like crumbs on the floor and a little bit of a mess in the kitchen from us cooking and all that. You know, once everyone left the house, we moved some of the kitchen chairs out of the way because it's kind of a tight space for him, and we just turn him on. He takes care of everything. I'm calling him he because we actually refer to him as Robbie, like Robbie the Robot, if you're familiar with that reference from way back in the day. Kind of showing my age a little bit here, but yeah, we call him Robbie, so that's why I say he. So yeah, Robbie just went around and just kicked ass and took names and cleared up everything on the floor without us having to do anything. I mean, there's so much going on anyway. With Thanksgiving, it's like, you know, one less thing you have to worry about, like cleaning the floors after everyone goes home, or also doing it before people come over. It also does mopping as well. You could put on mop pads on the bottom, so we'll do that in the kitchen as we have linoleum floors in there and hardwood floors throughout the rest of the house. So we can go ahead and throw in the mop option, have them do that. It works with Alexa, so if you get something like the Fire Stick, you can use the Fire Stick to control them. Yeah, they're just awesome. And the price might sound a little bit high at $360, but you have to remember these things go for upwards of $600 and higher than that. Same thing with something like the Roomba. For some of the newer high-end models, you're going to spend anywhere from $600 to $800 on some of those things. So for $360, it's actually very reasonable when you consider what it can do. It'll vacuum your whole house. It maps it out. You got an app that you can kind of control it with. You could set different zones and say, okay, go clean just the kitchen. He'll go to the kitchen. When he's done, he goes back to his little dock and he charges, and he can go for quite a long time. 5200 milliamp hour battery, which I believe is about 3 hours roughly of cleaning time that you can get out of this thing, but it doesn't really even take that long to do our house, which is not the biggest house, but if you got a big house, it shouldn't be an issue with him being able to clean the entire thing before needing to dock himself. You could set him on a schedule if you want him to do it at night when you're in bed. He can just come on at night at midnight and clean as much as he can, you know, until the next morning or whatever, or until he's done and he's covered the entire square footage of your home, your apartment, whatever. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend the Roborock. Go ahead and check it out. For the S5, it's $360. The S6, the one I have, is selling for I believe $650. That one's not on sale, unfortunately. But the S5 is virtually identical, honestly. It's just the S6 is a little bit newer of a model, so they made some little bit of changes there and advancements. But for the most part, they work identically in terms of suckage and being able to clean things and like that. And yeah, just really recommend you pick up your own Robbie the Robot. Next up, we've got a TV from Insignia. I'm very familiar with this brand. My soundbar is actually an Insignia soundbar, and I absolutely love the thing. I think I paid like $50 for it, and it sounds great. Way better than my TV speakers, honestly, on my LG OLED. And the 4K TVs for this, as I was mentioning at the start, so insanely cheap. You can grab a 43-inch Insignia 4K TV, and this is the Fire TV edition, which means it has a Fire Stick built into the television, so you wouldn't even need to buy the Fire Stick at the beginning of the video. If you have that in your cart now, go ahead and take it out if you're going to buy the TV, because you can just buy the TV and then you don't need the Fire Stick. So you can get this thing 43 inches, 4K for $200. If you want to get the 50-inch, it's only going to be $250. If you want to get the 55-inch, it's going to be $280. So for $280, and without having to go down to your local Best Buy and fight a mob of people to get a good deal on a 4K TV this holiday season, just grab this Insignia, the 55-inch, for $280, and Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. Yeah, should be a pretty decent TV, as I was reading through the reviews, and everyone seems very happy with it. I personally also had a budget 4K TV for a number of years, a Hisense TV, before upgrading fairly recently, and I never had a single problem with it, so I am all aboard for when it comes to budget 4K TVs. I really don't think you're losing all that much until you start wanting like HDR or OLED if you want to kind of get into that stuff. But just for a simple 4K television that's going to be able to deliver 4K content, streaming, Netflix and all that stuff, maybe watch the new Irishman movie, which was fantastic. Go ahead and just grab something on the budget. You don't need to go spend $2,000 on a TV. unless you really have the extra money to spend and you know what you're spending it on. Next up is a mouse, which I'm going to recommend, and I recommend this thing all the time because it has been my daily driver mouse, which I have been using for well over a year now. Ever since it came out, this has been the mouse that has been on my desk that I game with. I'm using it right now as I'm recording this video and clicking between Amazon pages, and that is the Logitech G305 wireless mouse. I absolutely hate wires on mice. For years, I always hated them, but I continued to use them because I didn't want to deal with the latency of a wireless mouse. However, nowadays, the wireless mice like the G305 and the Pro Wireless and some of the other ones from Logitech, the latency has gotten so low that it is somehow, through the powers of magic, have less latency than most wired mice out there on the market, including ones from Razer, Corsair, you name it. Even some of Logitech's own wired mice are slower than a wireless. It doesn't even make sense to me how they've managed to do this. Like I said, it is pure black magic. It is witchcraft, and I love it. I'm on board. I love my G305. It's like half the price as the Pro Wireless, which is like virtually the same exact mouse, except it has better battery life because it doesn't have RGB or anything. So go with the G305 over the Pro Wireless. I also happen to think that the 305 has a much better shape, in my personal opinion. So pick one up if you have not already. Like I said, I've had this thing, I think, coming up on 2 years almost now. I think I got it in spring of 2017, I want to say. Or maybe spring of 2018. So it's about a year and a half or so. I've changed the single battery in here one time. And the first run lasted me for about 13 months, and then I had to change it back this past summer, which was the first time I had to change the battery at all. So you shouldn't really be worried about the thing crapping out on you in the middle of a gaming session, because like I said, literally 13 months this thing lasted me before needing to change the battery that came with it. And last up, but certainly not least, this is definitely a bit of a outside-the-box item from other tech items that we're talking about here. It's a kitchen device, but it's one that I picked up earlier this year, and so far I absolutely love it. In case you don't know, I enjoy cooking. I love learning about cooking and trying different recipes. All of our Thanksgiving food that we made yesterday, I cooked personally, and every person there said it was hands down the best Thanksgiving dinner that they ever had, mostly because I put MSG in a lot of my food, which tastes amazing, and it's not bad for you. If you think you're allergic to it, you're not. Just look into it. So as you can see, I purchased this item back on March 29th, 2019. This is the Instant Pot 8-quart. This is one of the biggest ones they make. I believe it is the biggest size that they make, and I do recommend getting the biggest one that they have so that you can fit whatever you want in there without having to really worry about it. And this is the 7-in-1. They do also have other ones that are like 8-in-1s, 9-in-1s, 10-in-1s, which are like over $100. This one's usually $140, which is, I believe, what I paid for it. But when it comes to the ones that have like extra functionality on it, do not waste your money. This is the cheapest 8-quart that they make, but it's also the only one that you need. The other ones have a few other features, like a little bit better of an LCD screen, and they have some extra buttons for different functions you can do, like I don't know, like maybe like popcorn or something like that. But you don't need it, because all those options are doing is it's still pressure cooking. It's just changing the temperature levels or the pressure levels, which you can do manually anyway on this thing. And even so, I've never had to do any of that. In all the dishes that I have cooked in my Instant Pot, I have only ever used two functions on the thing: pressure cook and saute. The saute is good, like if you're going to I make a beef barbacoa in my Instant Pot quite often, which we'll then make tacos with. And we'll go ahead and I want to brown the meat first in the pot, and I don't want to do it in a separate pot, so you can go ahead and throw it on saute, brown your meat in there, take the meat out, add in your onions and your garlic and your dry seasonings, deglaze it with a little bit of red wine, throw your meat back in, cover it up, set it, and walk away. And then this particular takes about an hour, but a lot of other dishes you can do a lot quicker than that. And just leave it on for an hour. You come back, your house smells amazing, the food tastes delicious, and it's so easy. There's so many meals you can just drop in at the beginning of the day, like before you go to work, like just drop a bunch of stuff in the pot, turn it on. When it's done, it'll instantly go into a warming mode, so it'll just keep the food warm all day, so that when you get home from work later that day and you want dinner, and you don't want to be sitting there working for your dinner after you've already spent all day working to buy food, it's ready to go. And it's fantastic. I absolutely love it, and I cannot highly recommend it enough. And right now it's $65 and it's usually up around $140, so it's like half off. And yeah, it's a device we use on a weekly basis here, cooking meals in our house, so definitely recommend you guys go out and check out the Instant Pot. But that is all I have got for you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. So this video went a little bit longer than I initially intended, but we had a lot of things here. We had about 13 items that we detailed in this video, and I kind of like to give my own little mini reviews for everything that I go over to explain why I'm recommending them, rather than just talking about a price of something, which you guys can basically find on Amazon on your own. So I like to give my opinion on each thing that we talk about here. If you enjoyed this video, though, or found any deals that you like, you can show your appreciation by leaving a thumbs up on the video or using any of my Amazon links that I'm going to leave down in the description. Those are affiliate links, which means I get a small kickback if you choose to pick up anything over on Amazon. So even if you don't buy something that I recommend in this video, but you're going to buy something on Amazon, if you click any of those links, whether even if you click on the Instant Pot and then you go buy an RX 580, which are pretty good deals, by the way, too. But let's say you click the Instant Pot link and then you go over there and you're like, oh, that's a nice Instant Pot, but I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to go buy an RX 580, or I'm going to go buy a monitor or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you click my link to get to Amazon and then you buy something else, I still get a small kickback for having sent you over to Amazon initially. So do me a favor and go ahead and use those links if you are going to buy anything on Amazon today, as it will help me out a lot. Helps me kind of run this channel and support everything. So I do appreciate you guys doing that. I'm going to go now, and I will see you all tomorrow for another video.